Join us on Non-Profit Spotlight, a programme that highlights the work of NGOs, foundations and aid organisations supporting cross-border small businesses and traders. Non-Profit Spotlight, only on CBB Radio, your media partner for cross-border commerce.
Hello and welcome. This is Cross-Border Business Radio, and you are on a special program we call the Non-Profit Spotlight. And this is where we feature non-profit organizations that champion the interests of cross-border traders. And this is where we want to bring out various issues that might be of interest to you if you're a cross-border trader or indeed a stakeholder in the cross-border business. And today we are privileged to visit the CEO's office at the COMESA Business Council. You could be wondering what the COMESA Business Council, or abbreviated as CBC, is all about and what it does. Be rest assured that whatever business goes on here is in the interest of you as a cross-border trader. But we'll get more into the details of the CBC as we feature the CEO by the name of Teddy Subramanian. I hope I got that one correct, but I'll ask him to introduce himself very clearly. Can I call you Mr. Subramanian or I call you Teddy? Which one are you?
You can call me Teddy.
Teddy.
Easier. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. So I would like you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, thank you, Chanda. And a very good afternoon to the auditors and welcome to our office. It's always a pleasure to welcome you here.
Thank you.
And we have an open door policy, so feel free to reach out in case you have questions and you want to know a bit more in what to do. And also to your audience, if they want to visit us, they are more than welcome. So my name is Teddy Subramanian. I am the CEO of COMESA Business Council. I joined the council 2 years ago. Very excited to be here, thrilled to be in Zambia and Lusaka and working for the benefit of all the COMESA region, all our 21 member states, but in particular the business community, the private sector in the region. Awesome.
No, thank you so much. And like I said, we're very, very humbled to be here. Earlier we were just discussing that, I once worked for a media house that carries the name CBC. So when people talk about CBC, that's the first thing that comes to their mind. But there are some of those that obviously do know what CBC in the context of COMESA is all about. So I'd like you to just break it down a little bit. What is COMESA Business Council and what is your mission?
Thank you, Chanda. Now, that's a very important question. And as you say, it's important that we break it down and situate it within the COMESA family. Very important. So the COMESA Business Council, first of all, it is the voice of the private sector, of the business community in the COMESA region. We represent the private sector. We speak for the private sector. We speak for the business community in the COMESA region. So that's what basically the COMESA Business Council is. Now, the COMESA Business Council is, first of all, a COMESA institution, a duly recognized COMESA institution. Like other COMESA institutions that you have, for example, the Trade and Development Bank, the COMESA Clearinghouse, you have the COMESA Competition Commission, you have a number of other institutions. So the COMESA Business Council is one of such institutions of COMESA, but its focus is on the business community, the private sector, to advocate for them, to promote their interests, to defend their interests, and address issues and concerns they may have. So it is well structured within this COMESA structure, COMESA family structure, and we do our work for the private sector and the business community in the COMESA region.
Mm-hmm. I see that you're more sitting at a strategic level, but I know that the people watching or listening would be cross-border traders, and those are the ones that this radio station represents. Any space within your mandate for the cross-border traders in as far as your service delivery is concerned?
No, definitely, Chanda. We have a strategic role to play in advocating for our members, but you'll be surprised if I tell you one of the members of CBC is the Cross-Border Traders Association of Zambia.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they're a member of CBC. Yeah, I think they joined last year. So we are working with them to see how we can improve cross-border trade, for example, between Zambia and the neighboring countries. One of the specific projects we have for the cross-border traders is the Digital Financial Inclusion Project.
Awesome.
One of the problems we've realized that our cross-border traders face in this part of the world is when they do transaction across borders, and payment is a major issue for them. At the moment, most of the transactions are conducted using cash as a mean of transaction.
Yes.
And this in itself brings a lot of problems with regard to exchange rate, with regard to the security of the person doing cash transaction, and also the convenience of it, but not to say the cost of cash transactions. So the Digital Financial Inclusion Project that CBC is piloting, we aim to set up an online retail payment platform, which is going to be low cost, help the cross-border traders use that platform to do cash transaction across the borders, which is going to be very low cost. We are targeting a cost of transaction, for example, which is going to be less than $1, which is going to be a game changer for the COMESA region, for the cross-border traders, for the business community in general. So that will lower substantially the cost of transaction in the COMESA region. That is by lowering the cost of doing online payment. So we are targeting, the main target is going to be the cross-border traders, your audience, many people listening to us, but also SMEs, the small and medium-sized enterprises, women entrepreneurs, young people, the young generation.
I must say, sorry, not to cut you short, I must say that in the country right now, in as far as economic development is concerned, the discussion that is very critical is about the support to SMEs, support to smallholder farmers, support to anyone within the SME space. And the cry has been mostly the cost of doing business for these SMEs, one, access to finance for these SMEs, two. Now you're saying you're developing a system, a digital financial inclusion system that is going to respond to some of these challenges. Are you working with any financial institution within that space?
Oh yeah, definitely. We are working with financial institutions, the banks. We are working also with mobile money networks.
Interesting.
Other
because those push volumes of transactions.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we are working with all these institutions to make sure that there is enough transaction on our payment platform. And one important point that you mentioned in your question, Chanda, I think, which I want to pick up again, is the issue of access to finance.
That's right.
Because many of the SMEs, cross-border traders, they have difficulty accessing finance.
That's right.
And the difficulty with that is that they haven't had the tradition of doing banking transaction. And when they go to banks, very often there is no history of banking transaction. So it's difficult for them to have access to finance. With that payment platform, it will be easier for them to access finance because the banks will be working with us as well. So there will be a transaction, there will be trails of their transaction. So it might be easier for them then to access finance, to fund activity.
So what I would do as an SME, and I do payments through your digital system, I just pull out the records there and provide to the financial institution when I need
They will
finance.
be working with us anyway. They will have a transaction.
So they will actually have a portal through which they gain the access to this information.
Exactly. That will be on the platform then. Yeah.
That is a game changer, if you ask me, for the SMEs, especially those who are cross-border traders.
Yes. In fact, we have already started. We wanted to test the market to see how they respond to financial instrument. We have launched last year a debit card, prepaid debit card that they can load money on and to do transaction. We're testing the market, and it was received fairly well by the market, especially the cross-border traders.
Okay.
But Chanda, you see, we have to be conscious also the reality of our countries. and the challenges our traders are facing, because in different countries, different continents, you have different challenges. So we realized that there's a need for capacity building as well. We cannot just launch a payment platform today and expect tomorrow to have the level of transaction that we would have expected to be like 100,000, 200,000. This will not happen.
That's right.
If you do not train the cross-border traders, for example, how to use the platform. The level of financial literacy has to be improved. There's a lot of work to be done to make sure that when the payment platform is live, that the cross-border traders can use it. It would have been brilliant to put a platform, a payment platform, but then at the end of the day, if you don't have the users, it won't serve its purpose. So that's why we are doing a lot of capacity building. In Zambia, we did a training in Livingstone for the cross-border traders last year. We are planning to go to Chipata to do the similar training as well. But we have done this training in other countries as well. Like in Malawi.
In Malawi, it's done.
In Malawi, it's done. In Kenya, it's done.
Which pilot countries are you doing?
We have identified 8 pilot countries. Malawi and Zambia are pilot countries. We also have Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Egypt, also Mauritius, and some other countries as well, in pilot countries. But obviously we are looking forward to widen the number of countries that would be included in this project.
Awesome.
But also one aspect which is important, because most of your auditors probably they say, well, how can we be trained? We realize that in Zambia alone, you have 40,000 cross-border traders. So you imagine how can Teddy possibly train 40,000 cross-border traders? Now you multiply it by 2. In Malawi, you have another 40,000. You multiply it by 8, or you multiply it by 21 COMESA countries. How can we do that?
Yes.
And then we are talking only about cross-border traders. You have SMEs, you have young people, you have women entrepreneurs. How can we do such a mass capacity building? Quite huge. So we have developed an e-academy where people can be trained online. Online. So we have launched it last year. And
is that live? Run by you as CBC?
It is run by CBC. It is run by CBC. You have some modules like financial inclusion, trade, and so on. I'll be more than happy to ask my colleague to give you the link to that e-academy. You can share it with your auditors as well.
No, we would be very happy to get that. Perhaps we can. I don't know what the requirements are for a person to log on and access the training, but it would be interesting for our audience to sample that.
Yes. No, it would be definitely something we would share with you. It's very straightforward and simple. Your audience can,
Now, I know we jumped into this digital financial inclusion program. It's a very interesting development for me, and I think a lot of people there would be willing and looking forward to jump on it. But let me take you back to what your mandate is. I've got my scripted questions here, but I would definitely do a lot of follow-up questions. But in this case, allow me to take you back to, non-tariff barriers as one of the issues that have been discussed time and again, and for cross-border traders who are looking to CBC for intervention in trying to reduce some of these tariffs. What is your role in that space?
We have a key role to play in that, in addressing non-tariff barriers. It is not a secret that non-tariff barriers is prevalent in our region and also in other regions of the world. Chanda, when tariff go down, when duties go down, in any free trade area or customs union, when the tariff go down, obviously what become more prevalent than are non-tariff barriers. They are the one that sometimes hinders trade. This is something that exists all over the world, everywhere in the world. So, but in our region, I must say that COMESA, we have taken a lead role into how to address non-tariff barriers, because the primary role of COMESA is to deepen the regional trade integration among its member states.
That's right.
Now, COMESA, together with SADC and EAC, we have what we call a notification mechanism, a mechanism that addresses non-tariff barriers. So it suffices for a company facing a non-tariff barriers in a particular country to notify it to the relevant COMESA authority. You can come to CBC because CBC is also the regional focal point for non-tariff barriers, and we would raise that non-tariff barrier issue in the relevant institution. Like COMESA, for example, we have some committees dealing with non-tariff barriers, but also there is a mechanism that reports NTBs, and we try to resolve them. So as you can imagine, it's not something easy to address. We have to get the member states, the government, to speak on these issues as well. But there's a mechanism through which you can notify these non-tariff barriers, the challenges you are facing in the COMESA region, and us, CBC, as an institution, together with the COMESA secretary, we work with the member state to see how these non-tariff barriers can be addressed.
Interesting. Let me bring you to the market intelligence resources you provide to traders. Can you just elaborate a little bit more, because I've got a follow-up question that I think will help to break it down a bit, but I want you to speak to the market intelligence resources.
That's another role of CBC. We work on providing trade and market information to our members, market intelligence information to our members. Last year, we completed a number of training through what we call the African Trade Observatory. It was training done in a number of COMESA countries where we share market intelligence within the COMESA region and the wider African continent as well. So this is an ongoing program with the support of the International Trade Center and also the European Union. We have been doing this kind of capacity building training and information sharing in the whole of the COMESA region last year. That's one activity that we are doing. But also we are planning to launch what we call the BizNet.
Awesome. I was coming to that. Is it something that is being facilitated by the BizNet, or that's another program?
The BizNet is a product that we are developing in-house at the level of CBC.
Right now.
Yes, right now. Yeah. So we have started also to do consultation at national level, capacity building at national level, how we can link, for example, potential buyers with sellers and identify market opportunities and so on. So this is a tool that is currently being developed by CBC in collaboration with its partners, various national focal points in the countries. So it's the tool is already there, but we are trying to improve on it, refine on it. So there's quite some work to be done there, but it is underway. We are working at national level because the information needs to come at national level so that the tool can be up and running.
Okay, so what I know is that the BizNet is a portal. Who's got access to it?
It will be accessible to all our members, of course, first of all, but also any interested business community. We are yet to define the modalities for access, but the aim is to facilitate business within the COMESA region. So I don't see why we would restrict access to the business community in the COMESA region.
But that is somewhere where people can have access to information as well, whatever information they need.
For doing business, to do trade across the region.
Awesome. Your role also, or your mandate as COMESA, has policy advocacy aspect in it. Can you give us a little more extrapolation on that?
Yeah, Chanda, you remember when I did the introduction at CBC, I told you that we are the legally recognized institution of COMESA for the private sector in this business community. So there's a lot of weight in what I said there. Because by virtue of that mandate, of that recognition, CBC is able to work along with COMESA member states within its policy organs and councils and so on to advocate for its members, issues that they are facing, concerns and challenges that they are facing. And no later than 2 weeks ago, we had the Heads of States Summit, the COMESA Heads of State Summit in Burundi, in Bujumbura, Burundi, where our president, the president of CBC, was able to present the business declaration directly to the heads of state, of COMESA heads of state. So in terms of advocacy, we can advocate at the highest political level in COMESA.
So can you give us a practical example of the success of this particular function? Any advocacy you've carried out and has borne fruits out there?
Yeah, I can mention an example without mentioning a company name.
Sure, no problem.
We organize regular business forum as well. One was organized, like as I said, not 2 weeks ago in Bujumbura, but we had one in Zambia last year. And one of our traders were facing a lot of difficulties in a neighboring country to export its product to a neighboring country. During that course of the business forum, for example, that trader that businessman was able to advocate directly to the minister of that other country about the problem they were facing. And I'm given to understand that the problem was resolved afterwards.
Wow.
So these are the kind of things that we do. We provide that forum for the business community to interact with stakeholders, various stakeholders, including government officials and ministers, to tell them about the problems that we are facing. Because at the end of the day, what we are promoting regional trade. We are talking about COMESA as a region, and our countries tend to gain by opening trade at the regional level.
Very interesting, and I'm glad to hear that the advocacy you carry out, tends to directly affect individual companies, and they're able to find ways of resolving some of their challenges, like the case that you've given. And I'm sure that that firm must be smiling and looking at CBC as as a messiah in some way.
They're certainly doing that.
Sure. But I know that we've talked about the digital financial inclusion that seeks to answer some of the challenges that cross-border traders are facing, especially in terms of payments and whatnot. But where you're sitting, are you able to point out some of the biggest challenges that cross-border traders particularly, other than payment systems are concerned, face among the different member states? Let's start from Zambia.
Yeah, no, definitely. We talk about the payment system, which is definitely, but the other issues that the problem they face at the borders in terms of trade facilitation, customs procedures, it's sometimes very costly.
Yes,
to do transaction across borders. It's given the volume of transaction is very low for them at times. So costs doing procedures at customs at borders may be quite high. The cost might be quite high. So that definitely represents, to come back to the issue of non-tariff barriers, can be a big barrier for them to do business. Infrastructure also is another problem, because for you to be able to trade within the region, you need to be able to move your goods. So the transport cost can be another issue. You move your goods from inland to the border, and from the border to the customers on the other side. These are infrastructural issues that can create costs for the cross-border traders that needs to be addressed. But I'm happy to say that COMESA, we are very well aware of these problems, and we are working with the COMESA Secretariat, member state, to see how we can lower this, because there are a number of programs on trade facilitation that are underway, to see how these costs can be lowered and facilitate the trade of cross-border traders. Another big problem in our region, Chanda, is also illicit trade.
Illicit trade, yes.
Illicit trade that can kill the businesses. So you try to address certain issues, but then at the end of the day, you see illicit trade is growing. So that's something we are mindful of, and that's something we are keen to see how we can address. We are developing, for example, a track and trace system to see how we can address this problem. Yes, there are quite a number of challenges that our cross-border traders are facing, and we are well aware of them, and we are trying to see how we're addressing them. The payment one being one such case that we're trying, but also some of the non-tariff barriers and how the cost of doing trading across the borders in the COMESA region can be lowered.
I'd be very happy to come back and just delve into the digital financial
definitely.
inclusion.
You're more than welcome. We'll be more than happy.
Because I think that is, we have a lot of car traders or car dealers, if you could put it that way. Those are doing various goods and services like grocery and clothing, and there's so many, imports of suppliers to the mine, suppliers to different institutions that bring in all sorts of products and so on. And I think that they would want to get the details of the digital financial
Definitely, we can do a dedicated session if you so wish. I'll arrange with my colleagues, so maybe we can do a dedicated session on digital financial inclusion, and also specifically on the payment platform we are going to deploy very soon in the COMESA region.
Awesome. Now, as we approach the dying minutes of our time, I'd like to just request you to speak to the cross-border traders out there. I know that you're working with the association, and obviously there might be a way to get to benefit from some of these projects or initiatives that you do as CBC. Do businesses go through the association, or they can come directly to yourselves? How can people get engaged?
Yeah, no, that's a very practical question. No, definitely they can go through the association, because we talk to them regularly. That would be an ideal way to work, so that we make sure there's coordination in terms of what we're getting. But as I told you, Chanda, at the very beginning of the interview, we have an open door policy at CBC. So we are located in the COMESA Secretariat building in the center of Lusaka. So feel free to reach out to us directly. I can give you my contact details as well as that of my colleagues. You can reach out to us, bring out your issues, your concerns, and we'll be more than happy to see how we can help you, and reach out to you also for some of our activities that we're undertaking.
Very interesting. I believe that we're going to have those contact details running on the screen, and obviously there will be a mention at the end of the program of the contact details for COMESA Business Council. Those are the details that you can use to actually reach out and seek whatever intervention you'd like from COMESA Business Council. But you're also encouraged to visit the Cross-Border Traders Association of Zambia. That would be very, very helpful, because there's a very strong linkage between COMESA Business Council and the COMESA and the Cross-Border Association of Zambia, or Cross-Border Traders Association of Zambia. Teddy, what would be your message to the businesses looking to expand into countries like Zambia, or businesses in Zambia looking to expand into another COMESA member state?
The message that I would like to convey to the business community with regard to the potential for trade expansion in the COMESA region is enormous. We trade more with the external world that we trade within COMESA, but the potential is enormous. We have a lot of resources, human capital, natural resources, business opportunities in the COMESA region. So we will only but benefit by trading more among ourselves. And CBC, we are here to help. So as I mentioned, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be more than happy to help you expand your business within the COMESA region.
Interesting. So thank you so much, Teddy, for affording us the time to be here to talk to you about COMESA Business Council. And I'm very happy that you've opened that invitation for us to come and delve more into the digital financial inclusion. I think that is a game changer in my view. And obviously, we'll talk a little bit more about the business portal that you're developing or you're enhancing for the benefit of the business community out there. And so we'll be knocking on your doors very, very soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, viewers and listeners, wherever you may be listening or watching us from. We have been on the Nonprofit Spotlight, and I've been talking to Teddy Subramanian. I got that one right. And he's the Chief Executive Officer at the COMESA Business Council. And so until next week at the same time, maybe not the same place, but we'll definitely come back here in future for more details. My name is Chanda Mangana, I've been your host. Good day.